How important is a website to a local station at this time?
I think you have to ask that question knowing how important it is to almost every business, right? Because people live in reality, but they also live virtually. So if you don't have a web presence of some sort, it's almost like you don't exist, which is a little crazy when you think about it. But the truth is that the web presence and the social media presence now has become extremely important. And we've done a lot of research, mostly on the social side, in the last year looking at this. And what we've noticed is that if you look at the actual behaviors within social media like Facebook or Twitter, and you compare the interaction with local TV stations versus local radio stations versus local newspapers, for example, that the interaction with TV stations is significantly higher than any other media. And so we know that the television station, which has always been sort of the hub of community and transmitting information, whether it be, because it's full sight, sound, and motion, right? So if there's a tornado warning, if there's some, immediate emergency, if there's a blackout, all of those things, although interestingly, you need to have electricity for those things, all of those things make the television station so important, and to get their information out on any and every platform. Just the number of apps that have been created for local stations in the last year has grown exponentially. There's a tornado app in every market that would require one. The number of people who are going to those apps and interacting with local news on a regular basis. I mean, I don't know, Charlene, if you use any of the apps, but certainly in our local market, I have most of the local TV stations. Every time there's, some sort of news update, I get a little ping on my phone, as I did a few minutes ago. And you're, immediately up to date, whether it's traffic, it's weather, it's, some event, some emergency event. All of those things are driving usage of all of those extensions of the core television station.
I've often thought that the internet can help certain types of media cross-platform easily. So print was always just the written word. Now it's online. It can have audio, it can have visual, it can have, almost like a television station or network. Local stations were very localized before the internet. Now they could be global. That is an opportunity. It can also be a challenge for local stations. What is your opinion about the expansion possibilities?
I think it's mostly opportunity. I don't know that the local stations and their assets are playing on a global stage all that often. But, and there's always a but, the whole world is connected now. So when something happens anywhere in the world, we have many ways of dropping in and trying to observe what's actually going on. Case in point, the Boston Marathon. When we looked at what was going on during the marathon, with usage, obviously the local television stations had, dramatically increased usage. Some of the national news networks also had increased usage. If you looked at the website visitation for the stations in that market, the range of visits that came from outside the market actually outweighed the number of visits from inside the market. Not because they weren't doing a good job delivering in the market, but simply the world is a lot bigger than the population within that market. And it was amazing, the various people who were knowledgeable enough to find the local station affiliate and their live streaming coverage of what was happening on those websites. So I would agree with you, in times of crisis, they suddenly are on a global stage, and having all of their ducks in an order and their streaming content ready to go, their ancillary content ready to go, I think that puts them in a unique, wonderful position. Now, from a sales and marketing perspective, it's not something you can plan around. because usually it's something, dynamic that happens that puts them on a global stage. But from an everyday perspective, and what seems very interesting to the world, like a marathon bombing, clearly, a bridge being out because of a flood, or hurricane instructions or tornado instructions, all of those things become extremely important in market, and every member of that community needs that information however they can get it. So if you can't get your TV signal, or your antenna blew off your roof, if you can get it through other means, that's where the TV stations actually shine.
Local affiliate will have a web presence, and they'll have, a news story broadcasting, and the owning or the affiliated broadcast network will probably cover the same breaking news story. How does that relationship work when you have two websites? One is really more feet to the ground, the local. You have the national broadcast network that's affiliated with that. What do you think the relationship is in those instances? Is it competitive or something else?
No, I wouldn't say it's competitive. I honestly feel like it's more symbiotic, and it serves the audiences of both of those entities. So for the station, obviously, it goes to 24/7 coverage of whatever the event might be. They're providing their local community with the service they're supposed to be providing. That's what a broadcast license, frankly, is about, is that you have to serve your community. The broadcast network is now able to tap into the expertise of the local market. They have the feet on the street. They've got, the news crews in place. They don't have to send a team there because they already have the relationships. They can share their content. So they have the local expertise that they now bring to their national audience. And conversely, they bring a national audience to that local station affiliate, the local station talent, the local businesses, the local community. So I think it's much more symbiotic. Of course, I wouldn't want to speak for every station group and relationship, because I'm sure that there are nuances, but mostly they work together to bring the best news journalism and information that they can.